Okay, we're on the air right
We
now.
are
So
on the air.
We're on the air.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
at 8 on my our time.
Our time.
Our time.
German time.
This is for those of you who we have 0 viewers right now. That's what I see here. So for those 0 viewers, this is kind of the pre-show so far. But we're live.
Oh, so it's 4 minutes. So one thing I wanted to talk about too, just briefly, was for people who submit photos and they submit to different tumblers. I would highly suggest not submitting the same picture to all the tumblers, if you know what I mean, because really, that's not going to help them all that much. Do you
No,
think so, or I mean, do you agree?
I agree because I mean most people or many people that I know follow more than just one reblogger and
Right.
seeing the
Yeah, that's
same
right.
photo over and over again.
To me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I see when I reblog something, I see it on another blog already. I said, "Oh, why did you do that?" Or I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it overlaps. Like, I don't know when you do the queue on Luxlet, and I know Pete does it late at night for PWS. So then there might be some coincidence. But if you see something on Monday and the next one reblocks it on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think this is like, yeah, let's give other people a chance. That's what I think.
That's whenever I see a photo on a different reblogger, I really think twice whether I also post it on PWS because but for me that's one thing, but we can talk about that later. I think when we're actually live, because to the 5 viewers we have now already, this is kind of a pre-show when we talk about, we should, usually we don't talk serious stuff in the pre-show. um but I really, there are a couple of people who seem to, I don't know if that's the same on Luxlit, but on PWS there's a couple of people who seem to submit each and every photo they post on their blog, and that is a question, why would they do that? There's one thing, I mean, the way I see submissions is to show those blogs, hey, I do exist. And these are the type of photos I make. These are the type of photos I post. So if we have someone who submits each and every shot they made to our blog, then why would we even consider to check their blog for other photos? So we will never reblog anything because we get every photo anyway, and we can choose then. So that's for me, submissions as I see them are kind of appetizers, and like
Yes, yes, and they should be. And one of the things, by the way, that is attached to this is the whole. Here, let me send you my site so you can. And it's like, I don't. I will send them back an email saying, look, the thing here is not. It's too much. It's too time consuming. And really, and I hate to say this, but if you read our submissions, it says, please do not submit, please submit your work, not your whole site.
Mm.
And I don't think that I think there's only, I think, is it Photographer Society that takes submission of Photographer's Directory that takes the submission of the full Tumblr link. And the other thing I tell them and I do tell them, here, you can go here. I also tell them, look, part of the reason that you should pick your work is that you should learn how to go, which is part of our conversation today. And you should go through your Tumblr and learn. I'm getting an echo. Um, Learn how to select your best work, like you said. That it's a teaser, it's an appetizer. Here's the kind of work that I do, and here's the best example.
does any one of you have a browser open?
Well, what's open? What?
Or
We're open. We're live. It's
I
11:01 here.
Heiko that he has speakers on or something. You turn the volume up.
Yeah, wait a second. I put on. wasn't a
Oh,
okay.
Now it's gone, right? Okay,
now
we're
it's gone.
2 minutes after 8 here, so let's start the show, right? Yeah.
Hey, it's supposed to say Fern PhD.
Oh yeah.
No, don't you dare.
I want
Don't
to
you
change that for
dare.
next time.
No.
Hello and welcome to In Conversation 9 on Saturday, 20th. I think it's 20th of May.
Is it?
Yes.
That's the right date. I have
Yeah, that's the right date.
Today I'm absolutely excited that we have and with we I mean of course my close friend and now 63-year-old PhD, as I just learned, Fern Fernando Socorro, qbn-scholar.tumblr.com, and of course admin for luxlit.net, and yeah, you know that my name's Pete. I like pictures. You can find mine on tvoom.tumblr.com. But we have a very special guest today on the show.
What else do you do?
What else do I do?
You are the admin for.
I'm having a beer right now in a glass that our guest gave me when we met in, when was it, January or February?
January. It was in January that I came to Munich.
Is that the
When-
cathedral from Cologne?
Yes, exactly. That's the cathedral, and that's our mascot from our local soccer football team. Hey!
Okay.
So this is Heiko, Heterotopian,
Hi!
or Heterotopian, how do you pronounce that?
Heterotopian.
Heterotopian.tumblr.com. And of course, also not only a friend of mine, but also a fellow member on Photos Worth Seeing. So, and the Germans take over this stream, I think. So 2-1 now.
So speaking of photos worth seeing, what do you do at Photos Worth Seeing, Pete Berger?
I happen to mostly I'm one of the admins of Photos Worth Seeing, and I'm mostly doing the queue lately, so I'm not reblowing too much and doing all the adminning stuff.
So can I say something to Heiko?
Yeah.
Real
go
quick.
Crazy.
So it's a little too late for that. So I wanted to tell you that photo that you put up, that post where it was your self-portrait, and I reblogged it on Luxlit. The one that said, you know, here's all this stuff going on, and it isn't just about complaining; it's about doing something.
Ah, yeah, I remember that one. I was thinking about which one do you mean? Yeah.
Yes, and you said, you know, I know some people are going to think this is just, you know, pretentiousness, but here's my little safety pin, and I'm going to vow to do something to to balance the world, basically. I want to thank you for that, because that was what eventually pushed me to contact all of the Luxlit members and ask them, and it had to be unanimous, but ask them if we could go in a more political, not angry political and not divisive political, but on a more political, posting more political images. And they all, I have to say, and I was very moved. I'm very moved now. They all agreed. So thank you, because that's, I mean, I had been thinking about it for a while, but that picture, when that was the first one that we actually posted that had more of a political bent, that was yours. So thank you so very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was actually a thing I was thinking about. Shall I do it? Do I do it? But to me, it was just enough. And then, you know, enough is enough. And of course, there was the election in the US that time, but there was also a lot of right-wing movement in Europe, which is still going on. I mean, in my opinion, we didn't get Le Pen in what's it called, France. Yeah, that's what the country's called, France. But there's still right wings in Germany who might get into a parliament in September, which really frightens me because they are just opposition. You can't work with these people, in my opinion, and that's something, yeah, I stand against and I stand up for. So, and that's why I didn't want to make it an angry post. I just wanted to make it a post that says, people, beware, look what you're doing, and just don't keep quiet. If you have to say something positive, say it, and stand in for something good. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Now we're already
deep in a really it's an important subject, but let me first, and maybe we can continue that later, because that is actually something that, you know, that of course something that is very important for me as well, and not only in a political way, but really doing something, helping people to do stuff to find themselves. But let's first maybe talk about what we want to talk about today. And we have a topic that we tried to bring into the last conversations, and then we talked about other things for a very long time. We want to talk about creative ruts and maybe ways how to get out of them. I think everyone who in any way did anything creative knows that problem, that sometimes you don't know what to do anymore, and everything that you did so far or that you do so kind of starts to suck, right? And so we're going to talk about that, and connected to that, and no, let me first say something else, because that is a very fascinating topic Fern brought up. Let's talk about building your own or our own photographic portfolio. What can we do? How can we do that? How can we achieve that? And connected to that all, let's talk about the interconnectedness of the different arts. And I think Heiko is really someone to be able to say something about that, because when I think about your photos, about your blog, every photo comes with a quote and something with a message, and you already mentioned that what you wanted to achieve with that one photo, with the text that you put under the photo. So can you tell us a bit about your approach to that? Is there I know that, of course, but many of the people, many of the 7 viewers, whenever I start talking, people drop out of the stream. Now 8 viewers again, because I breathed, probably. Many of our viewers probably don't know that. What is your approach? Is the photo first, and then you come up with the proper quote, or are there quotes first? Talk a bit about. Would you mind sharing a bit about?
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to go way back with that. So let's not start with the hen and the egg. But when I started posting on Tumblr, I already had this fetish for quotes. I always liked quotes, loved quotes, used them all the time. It was mostly from TV series, like funny quotes. But when I started taking pictures, I had a subject I took a picture of, and then I was looking at what could match to this picture. So in the beginning must have been about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I really tried to match the picture with the quote. Like sometimes, usually it was the picture first, and then I looked for a quote. But sometimes I found a quote that I really liked, and I had a picture in mind, and then I tried to get a picture to it. But that only took me so far. After a year, it was getting really hard for me to find a matching picture or a matching quote, and I just started random subjects, like it was things that are on my mind, like a lot of, you've seen there's a lot of philosophy quotes 2 years ago, And yes, I think it must have been since November, maybe October, I've done a lot of political quotes actually. So I've become really, really political. And what I also want to say is that the quotes that I use, they are not my opinion. They are food for thought, actually. I try to give a quote and make people think about it. And lately, if someone put a comment on a picture, they mostly comment on the quote. Like I had these things that people, no, I can't agree with you there. I said, no, it's you don't agree with me. You're not agreeing with me. You're not agreeing with the one who said these things. I'm just here to make you think. And in some ways, it's yeah. Like this week, I put a quote on that says, "Hey, amen, brother." I was like, "Yeah, thank you." So yeah, like I try to put it from everything a little bit from all the sides. I don't say I just leftist quote. There might even be right-wing quotes. Sometimes I have to admit I don't even know the person I quote there. It's just I see the quote, and that's the dangerous part I actually do there. I put in a quote, make people think, but if you don't know who you're quoting, yeah, that might be a misstep actually. It's like you quote someone who is really a propagandist, whatever. That can be dangerous what I'm doing there. I admit, absolutely. So, but these days, I fill my queue on the weekend. I find a topic I want to put a quote on, and then I just take pictures from a series I'm posting this week, and then put matching quotes. Like I said, these days it's mostly political. Like next week, it's all about travel. So who's traveling next week? Just saying.
There's something I'd love to chime in here because I think it's a really fascinating thought to, because not too long ago I saw a kind of I saw it somewhere on YouTube about and it was actually also a German, well, not also a German comedian, but also a German, but he was a comedian with from Turkish, a German comedian, and he was, I don't know if he still does that, but at least he was touring with the book Mein Kampf.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And he started to talk with people about that. He was not just, like you said, not just putting that out, these thoughts out, but actually communicating with people. And he got a lot of backlash for that, of people saying, how can you do that? How can you put these thoughts into people's minds? And that's what he said. I don't do that. Actually, I ask questions. And that is something that made me think a lot, and that's something I kind of think, well, it's sort of my approach, not with photography, but other things. I really believe that the artists don't give answers. Artists ask questions. And so that's, for me, at least, my personal approach to art is not to say it is like this or it is like that, but it is asking the question, is that a possible way to approach things?
Yeah, exactly. You make people think. I don't see myself asking questions. I see myself as trying to make people think, at least give it a try.
Asking a question, no matter if there's a question mark or the raise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then we are on the same page there. Yes, I think so.
So Fern is silent. Has he unplugged himself again?
Well, no, I haven't unplugged myself. I have a different take on this. There's two things. Well, there's three things. I wanted to say. First of all, I am fascinated by how you, Heiko, and others take into account that that images often have no meaning, or can have all kinds of meanings if they're not contextualized. You can still draw whatever meaning, like you said, for example, that some people might disagree with something that you quoted and so on. But the bottom line is this whole idea of a picture is worth a thousand words. Yes, but in what language? Where in the world are you looking at a photograph? Your age, your sex, you know what I mean? There's so many variables, and I know there's a lot of people out there who totally disagree with putting anything on a picture because the picture should stand alone. Technically, yes, but as far as meaning, as far as how you know what I mean, how this attaches to you, why it's important to you, I think it's great. I usually, by the way, as you may know, I don't do Untitled because actually Tumblr is my directory for finding and via name and so on. That's like my index. But I did eventually, except for very rare occasions when I want to talk about a place I photographed or a person or something, I just put like I do now, someplace, the building or the town or whatever, the date, and it's done. But I do like that, and I don't think of things that way, but I do like that. So I applaud you because I think it's genius. I don't even know if I could do that, by the way. And I can't. Now the other thing is about the example that both of you gave of the right wing quotes and the person with Mein Kampf. The only thing I can think of when I hear this idea of let's talk about these things that are on the extreme, because I have to say the left and the right can be just as extreme and just as dangerous. To me, they're both the same as far as their dangerousness and their narrow-mindedness can get. Not everybody, but when Oprah Winfrey interviewed Dave Chappelle about why he quit. Now, you both know who Dave Chappelle is and the whole story of he walked away and blah, blah, blah. He said that he quit because he saw a white crew member laughing, and all of a sudden he wondered why that person was laughing. Was he laughing at American blackness joke that he was doing, that Chappelle was doing, because he understood, or was he laughing because he had a totally different take on Black Americans, and in a sense he was laughing at them, not with them? Oprah Winfrey then told a story, which she's told before, about how she used to have these shows about race, and she would bring in people of different opinions and all this stuff. And one time there was a skinhead who was very much against anybody who wasn't white in the panel. And when they went to the break, there was a person in the audience who said to the guy who was in the panel, to the skinhead in the panel, "You get her, Jim. You get her. You keep going." And she realized that she was actually these people a platform. Ever since I saw that interview, which I have recorded because it was an excellent interview, and ever since hearing that story, even when I taught and even when I get into things about politics, I'm very careful to make absolutely sure that I am bringing in what you talked about, Heiko, in that post, and what you talked about in general. I want to bring in the positive. There's already way too much out there on the negative side, and I think, and I would rather be a part of contributing to the solution than spreading the problem, even if it's just by trying to expose it. Because let's face it, we all know what's out there, you know. So and then there was something else, but yeah, that's enough. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, both of you, but yeah, I'm very careful about what I post, even on Facebook, about politics or anything, because I don't want to contribute to the extreme.
I have become careful after some backlash. Even though I don't think that my opinions are too extreme. Oh, okay, whatever. What I think is, and that's what I think really blends in just wonderfully into the topic, how to get out of a creative rut. Instead, Heiko, you see a photo and you try to find quotes that fit the photo, and that is something. Whenever I see your photos, whenever I read the quotes on your photos, I start to think, why did he do that? How does this photo and that quote match? What does he see in that photo?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't. But I never.
It just no longer. It no longer is the case. It's a separate thing these days. Like, there is the picture and then there's the quote. The picture is my art and the quote is basically, yeah, it's a quote to make people think about these days about modern politics, or some time ago it was about philosophy, but it usually doesn't, no longer matches. Sometimes it may be, but that's a rare occasion these days.
Maybe we. What I wanted to say wasn't. I didn't want to say like. It doesn't make sense to me. But rather, no matter if you want them to match or not, you put them out together, and so they come as in a package. And so I think I'm not the only person who.
I hope you're not the only person
who start to think and who starts to. And I think that photos combine. I do that rarely, and if I do that, then mostly I'll just put in lines from songs that I like. Then, but we can talk about things like that but later. But nevertheless, it makes you think about the quote, and it makes you think about the photo. And I think that is it's a great way to not only make people start to look a bit closer, and like you said, to think about that. Because if I see a photo and a quote under that photo that apparently has to do something with the photo or not, this thought process that gets started in case people read the quote, that is, I think, exactly what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. And now for now, I think I just destroyed the illusion for some people. Maybe I should start. Yeah, I'll need some more time on the weekends to make the match again, and maybe I will do that again. I'm not sure. At least sometimes I do, but during the last couple of weeks, there wasn't that much time also. So I just went back to politics. Like, this is really something that's on my mind these days. So yeah, maybe I should think about my approach again and make them try to match again. At least what matches, in my opinion.
I think you should just big fat do whatever you want to do, and however it feels right. And however it feels right, because in the end, like Pete said, some people are going to see this and make a connection. Some people aren't. Some people are, so if it feels right to you, just go for it.
Yeah, that's what I do usually. Yeah, and that's what I basically do. But now, after more self-deconstructing myself, I have to put up a construct again. So, which is kind of hard.
Ooh, deep. Deconstruct.
Yeah.
And reconstruct. Oh my. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna keep quiet now.
Yeah, I do the same. Or otherwise, people might be turning off. How many people are watching now after me talking about deconstruction?
Now there will be 5 because you switched on your light. Better now. There are 10.
So I have a question though. How does your, getting back to Pete's point about the rut, does your matching, your images to these quotes, does that inspire you in any way? Do the quotes inspire you? I want to get back to the chicken and the egg thing. Which kind of comes, or the egg, which one comes first? Or do you care? Do you even think about that? Does it matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter to me. What the quotes, I can find quotes anywhere, anytime. Quotes aren't a problem for me. If I have a rut, it's photography. Like what do I want to take pictures of? How do I do it? How do I edit them? And that's the thing that's becoming problematic for me and has been for a while now. I mean, maybe some people see it, maybe not, but to me, it's just yeah. I think I've seen most of the city, but then again, I haven't. Like yeah, let's talk about this rut thing just now. So I like Cologne.
Can I chime
Yeah.
in here for a second, because most people surely know Heiko's blog. Those few of you who don't know Heiko's blog, Heiko usually posts photos from his hometown. So home city, of course. Cologne is big. Cologne in Germany. So I think that is what is needed to be said.
Also, I have to say, there's the other blog, which I find, the other Tumblr, which I find absolutely fascinating. The one with, by the way, you should give Steffi her lens back, Pete. With you have Heiko with Steffi. Huh?
I'm gone. Talk to yourself. I will not chime into the lens.
That's it. That's all it took. Wow. The one that, what is it? The Tale of Two Cities.
Yep, exactly.
Which is every weekend you both post, from one from Cologne, one from Munich, and you talk about specific everything from parking meters to stadiums to beers. So it's very interesting looks at the yes, well, all y'all Germans. I mean, it's all about the beer, but although I did,
it's all about the beer.
Oh my God, I did like malts beer. I have to say, I loved malts beer. But anyway, that's the other blog which I highly recommend, because again, it's more than just the photos. It's the photos and the story, and there they do make sense and they do match up. So yes, I just wanted to add that.
Okay,
go ahead.
Where was I?
About the rut and about Cologne and about what you wanted to photograph.
Yeah, I mean, I love the city. I love to take pictures of the city, but then a rut can be so much for me. Like there was a time this year that I started doing more color. I think it started last year, when I usually did black and white. But that was just, now I'm kind of tired of black and white, so I do colors instead. Then which places do I take pictures of? Like I have the Botanic Garden. It's right out the front door. I think the first year I went to, I lived in the city. I went to that place almost every day, and every second week I took pictures there. But now I don't know where to get pictures there again. So now I do it every half a year. I found a new spot in a way. And that same happens in the city. Like I have been there thousands of times. But today I saw some places. I also walked by a couple of 100 times, maybe, don't know. And I said, yeah, this could be a cool spot to take pictures of. I didn't have my camera with me, but still, now that's not a bad thing, actually. That's just, I think the lighting wasn't right today, but there were some spots there for me, like, yeah, that could be cool. But mostly what I feel as a rut is that, where should I go? What should I do? I just go. I take my camera and go outside and just take pictures. For some people, that might sound like work, kinda, but and it doesn't always work, but most often it does. And I come back home and I do have some pretty cool pictures, at least for the moment. So and then I said, yeah, great thing, you went out, you took some pictures, and you saw at least one or two new things or did something different than usual. So like right about now, I'm playing with my editing and do some crazy things with colors. I don't know, crazy, but like some artificial experimental stuff. I think I might post something like next week, something like that. But yeah, that's how I try to mix things up to yeah, keep them fresh for myself, you know.
Do you? This is to both of you. Do you worry about being in a rut? And this is both of you again.
I don't worry. I feel like I am in a rut for 2 years now. That's what I feel, but I don't know if it's that way. It goes like this and that. Sometimes it's better, and sometimes it's just a mood thing. I think that's what most artists know. There are times you like to you just are in the mood and you do things, you produce, and then just nothing works. So and sometimes I just have the feeling, okay, today you go out to take pictures, and yeah, it just works. That's how it works for me.
You, Pete, do you worry about it?
I don't worry about it, and I feel you, Heiko. I feel like I've been in a rut for the last also like 2 years or something, but it's I know out of experience that I will always at some point I will get out of it. So it's just the thing that keeping going. And what I usually do, I mean, there are a couple of ways how to do that. And I have to say, I was in a very, very deep creative low not too long ago, and it was just if I'm really, and I was really completely blank, right, in terms of if it comes to photography, and then I just simply do something else. It's I mean, I do different things. I take photos, I write, I do all kinds of stuff, and then I just focused more on my writing lately, and I did a couple of things like that, and then suddenly, and I think that is the way, at least it works for me, one fuels the other. My writing, I see my writing as something to be able to create pictures that I cannot create with a camera, or that I cannot create with pen and paper, or so that is a whole new dimension. And then suddenly pictures appear in my mind. Well, I'm a person, I work a lot with emotions, so everything I do is driven by emotions, and so some things you can do in that way, and other things you can do in a different way. So you cannot, if we're talking about stories, for example, you cannot tell a certain story as a movie, and you cannot tell a certain story in a novel or in a short story. You can take the same plot and you can fabricate something, but it will be a different thing. And so as I see it, and that is my personal approach, is that it doesn't work that way, then let's do it in a different way. And then something shows up and I say, okay, that could be a great picture, or I want to take photos there, and I want to do more in color, or I want to do more in black and white, or if everything, I mean, there are people out there that it works for them. It certainly doesn't work for me. I tried it a million times, and they say like, okay, I'll just take a different lens, or I'll just take a prime lens instead of my zoom, and I just approach different things. Today I only shoot macros, and that is, and what you said, Heiko, that for me is always work. There is no joy for me. And for me, everything I do about photography is something that is joy, and it's fun, and it's a kind of a lighthearted way. And even though, I mean, I did a couple of one big portrait shooting lately, that was work, but it was also a lot of fun because it worked, and the process itself and the preparation for that and thinking about that. And so yeah, that's, I think Neil Gaiman once answered that in an ask. He has a Tumblr blog, and Neil Gaiman is an author that I love.
I know.
And he got the question like, what do you do if you have writer's block? And he said there's something like, there's nothing like writer's block. So then I'll write something else. And that's what I do as well. So I jump back and forth between the million things.
That's funny. That's funny. It's funny that you said that, because it ties into the whole thing about how the different. Are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, because you had that glazed over look, Pete.
Yeah, something on the chat.
Yeah, because you're talking.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Nikos. Hello, Nikos. Hello to Greece.
Hello, Nikos.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
One thing that personally helps me overcome the ruts is visiting the areas I usually visit in different times of day. Most importantly, with different lenses, like Pete said. Yeah, obviously it works for Nikos. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I tried it once when I was like, I don't know what to do. A friend of mine said, yeah, so you go out, you just take color. That was when I was in my deep black and white thing. So I actually did go out and just shot in color, but I also shot in color things like, then I went to the Botanic Garden. It was a sunny day. The light was perfect. And yeah, of course, you can't do anything wrong with flowers and color. Okay, maybe you can, but yeah, but for me that just worked. But that was a one-time occasion. Usually, like Pete, like I said, and Pete also said, it can't be work, because for me it's a recreational thing. I take pictures to get my head free, to get it off work, and just do something different. So yeah, and it happens. It just happens. I just go, even if I feel like I'm in a rut, I just take my camera, go out for 2, 3, 4 hours, and just walk through. Mostly I walk then, and yeah, it just works. And something happens. I don't do anything different usually with only using color, different lens. I can't use a different lens because I only have one. Yes, I only have one lens, and
I only have one lens too, but that's for a different reason.
Okay, I don't know what the reason is that you have a lens. Honestly, I mean, I do have 2 cameras now. The fixed lens, 35 millimeter. Fuji, and then I have the Nikon with the 18 to 200 millimeter. But I have to say, I mean, it's 2 different ways of seeing and so on, yada yada. But I don't even necessarily think about. I mean, for some things, but sometimes it's whatever camera I have handy. And I don't even. I have to say, I don't even think about rut or any of that stuff or doing differently. Which is why I like the one lens. Because it's not work, and to me the whole thing, but yet I know someone who was telling me, I have to say, again, it depends on the person. Someone was describing to me how in the film days, and sometimes he used to have, in the old days, he used to have like a refrigerator to keep his lens when it was, so to keep the humidity away and all this stuff in the car. And I'm sitting there going, damn, but you could tell this person in telling the story really enjoys all of that technical aspect of photography. Lovely. It's just not me.
I understand. I have to admit, I have 2 cameras. One is an analog one that I took from my dad.
You took it from your dad.
And if your dad didn't know, he will now.
First of all, he doesn't know English, so and I said, okay, you're not going to use it anymore. I take this with me. So yeah, I tried it once, but yeah, it was fun, I have to admit, but I also never saw the results because I never had the film. What's the word? I'm forgetting words now.
Developed.
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you. Don't tell anyone I have an English major. So I never had it developed, but it was a fun experience, mostly because I actually met a photographer. Oh my God, you have that camera! And he was like, oh, why did you get that? And like, okay, what are you talking about now? So I guess in the early 80s, it must have been a quite good camera. So who knows? It's old.
What camera is it?
It's a Minolta.
Oh.
I don't know. I have no idea what an X1 something. I don't know. I would have to Google. Give me a second.
Oh no, that's okay.
While Heiko Googles, while I was on vacation, it's like a very funny thing happened because I was like the typical tourist walking on that beach alley, right? So
Tell me you weren't wearing shorts.
I was wearing shorts actually.
Oh.
Yes, I'm a German tourist, so of course I wore shorts, but I didn't wear white socks and sandals. I didn't.
Thank
But
God.
I had my
No,
cap,
you wore black socks and sandals.
actually gray ones because and I had my baseball cap and my sunglasses and my in brackets Canon DSLR around my neck, and I was wondering that. And suddenly I heard in German, all around me, just Spanish speakers, just exclusively Spanish speaking people, and I heard from the right in German, I had a Nikon once. And there was this brown thingy sitting on a bench. It was just a brown lump, right, with blonde hair. And it turned out his name was Dieter from Germany, and he wore blue shorts and I think blue sports shoes and nothing else. And he was just, and some of you saw that on my blog. I was during that vacation, I was climbing down a volcano, so I saw wrinkles, right? Earth wrinkles, but nothing ever compared to the wrinkles Dieter had. It was a really fun experience. We had a talk with him for a while because he was kind of traveling the world. So now,
Why didn't you take pictures of him?
I was, yeah, I should have.
Germans are everywhere. I tell you, I can tell you stories about that, but that's a whole kind of different story.
Yeah. And there's one thing about Germans. In Germans, there's this one thing that Germans love above all, and that's that one thing that they are very, very good at, and that's complaining.
Yeah, we're the best at that.
Best. And if we don't have something to complain about, then we'll make something up. So, and we'll complain about everything. We're good at that. Oh. So, yeah. I will complain now that we have this little break. No, it's what I think about what is it? Is there something that, I mean, we all do that, photography, as a hobby, as a recreational thing. But sometimes, I don't know if you're like me, but I sometimes have this extreme urge to go out or to take my camera and to take photos. But on the other hand, I am absolutely in no way, and Amy Montico writes on the chat, worse than the Brits. I can't say if Germans are. I know from a Turkish tour guide who we were talking about tourists from all over the world, and he said and it's not what I say, it was he said. And he said, and he explained the different types of tourists. And he said the Germans are the one. Germans are obviously, but he said, nice people. And said, you just say that because I'm German. I said, no, because I really mean that. Germans are really nice people, friendly people, but they complain all of the fucking time. They complain about everything and they want everything perfect. And the Brits are, what he said, are very polite, also very friendly, unless they're drunk. And he said that they are drunk every evening. So, and then they are like the worst people on the planet. That's what he said. I don't know any Brits personally, so I can't say that. So, okay, back to the topic. Sometimes I have this extreme urge to take photos, but I don't know what, and I actually have no idea. And that really frustrates me sometimes because I want to do that, but I don't know what to do. And so I did that a lot. I just took my camera and went out, and even because, well, if you have, back then I had more than one lens. Well, I have 3, I think. And I took all of them with me, and I was playing around, and nothing ever came out. And
you should one back to Steffi.
Yeah, probably. And do you know that feeling that you want to do something, you really want to do, but nothing, but you can't figure out what to do, and as I said, it is something that frustrates me too. Like I almost explode.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I want to go out, I want to take pictures, but then where do I go now? What type of object do I want to take pictures of? And if I find something, I need at least one destination to go. From there, everything is okay. If that doesn't work out, that's okay. But I am at a certain point, and then I just go into this direction, that direction, wherever, and then I usually find something. Yeah. But without a first destination, that's hell. That doesn't work most of the times. I need a first destination and some idea of what I want a picture. It doesn't matter if it works or not, but I need a place to go.
Yeah, that's interesting because well, there's 2 things. I hear a lot, and again, not criticizing because everybody, and it works for some people, like the 365-day challenge, and that you should always carry your camera with you, and you should always take pictures all the time, even if they suck. Which I do agree, especially when you're beginning. And I can't believe I'm saying this like someone who's been shooting that long, but it has been over 5 years. And I stopped worrying about all of that and just took the pictures when they took the pictures. Sometimes like tomorrow I have 2 destinations, as you said, Heiko, 2 places that I'm going to go where hopefully I'll get some photographs. But I don't worry about it, and I usually now have one or both of my cameras with me most of the time. But I don't worry about it, and I have to say, when I stopped worrying about it was about 2 years ago. Sorry, but with me it's the total opposite experience. I started to realize, look, I've taken some very cool pictures. I will keep taking very cool pictures. Sometimes, like when I went to Chinese New Year in San Francisco, holy moly, I think out of 75 photos, 2 were pretty good. The rest, especially the street stuff, none of them worked. But you know what? I had I had fun. I enjoyed myself. I love the Chinese New Year parade. Excuse me. Well, the preparations, I like to go in and take pictures while they're preparing. I'm not such a big fan of the parade itself because I like the intimate stuff that you can sometimes find. But I don't worry about it. I haven't for 2 years, and sometimes I've been over almost a month. I mean, when my lens broke, my one lens that I used to have with my baby about 2 years ago, and that's actually when I started to think about this. I was without a lens, and I didn't take a picture for like 2 months, and I didn't worry about any of it. So that's why I asked about if you worry about it, because I love it. I mean, I want to proceed towards a more professional kind of thing, but I'm still going to do it because I love it. I mean, so yeah. So I wanted to go back to the what sort of art forms influence your work?
Before we change that subject, this is really something. I took some notes because that is really something that made a huge difference for me, and that I can even build a bridge to other art forms because that really fits in about the not worrying anymore, because I think one of the worst things that my chair broke, so I have to balance on my chair. One of the worst things that happens is, or can happen, and happens to every one of us, I presume, or most of us, is because we most of the time are our worst critics. And of course our photos suck. Of course they do. They will suck, and they suck hard in the past. They suck even harder now, and they will suck even harder in the future. And the thing is, to still go on and to find that one gem out of 20, 100. The thing is, when I look at my photos now, I just came home from vacation last week. I brought home about, I don't know, 2,500 photos.
That's all?
That's all. That is because I love landscape photography. I love nature photography. And you walk up that here. I walked up that hill, right? And I had this amazing view. And I took a shot. And then I took a panorama shot so that I can stitch it together. So these are 5 shots, or really 6 photos, right? Then I walked like 10 minutes. And it was, of course, the same view, but from a slightly different angle. And I thought, that's even more amazing. And I took a shot, and I took a panorama shot. That's how it took, like 2.5, 3 hours, 4 hours until I was on top of that hill. And I had like 70 photos up there, right? And then you walk the same way back, and you see the same thing, but from a different perspective. And
excuse me, was that the James Bond volcano?
No, that dream, and you will get your video about, and you will see the lizards. And I got an anon yesterday, and it was funny. I was just about to go to bed, and I got an anon asking me about when will we see you? It was about dance, because I promised a dance, and I made a dance in the volcano, so you will see that all. So there's a thing. I mean, I do take less photos than I did. I think about 5 years ago, I wouldn't have brought home 2,500 photos, but like 6,000 photos. So I do take less photos, but I don't take, and that was a fascinating thing for me to see, that I don't take more different photos, but I take 3 or 4 or 5 photos from more or less the same angle, just like shifting a bit to the left, shifting a bit to the right. So because I'm a lazy bastard, and I hate cropping in post. I don't want to do too much. I'm busy enough with my colors and contrasts and stuff, so I don't want to really do. I want to have the perfect base shot to do my work on my photos. But I don't have like 70 different motifs. I have like 4, but I have almost the same amount of photos. But I have become way more selective. So photos that like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have thought, this is the shot. This is the amazing shot, and the best photo I ever made, are now photos, and I think, no, well, should I delete it? No, well, I'll just keep it, because maybe one day I will. So we get better and better and better and better over time, and because we get better, our view is sharpened. Even photos that a couple of years ago we would have thought they're great are now photos that we think they suck donkey balls, right? So I think our photos, and Do you laugh out of experience?
What's going on? Are you laughing with us or about us?
I think he just has a picture in his mind that I don't want to see, to be very honest. And there's one thing.
Just that saying. Sorry, I've never heard that.
I thought that you might like it.
Anyway,
and there's in one of the books, and that is building the bridge to other art forms, and one of the books about writing. And I did a lot of writing in the past, and right now I do a lot of writing, and even more than I did in the past. There was this one of my favorite books about writing. There's this one thing that really changed a lot for me, and that one sentence was, I think, on the first or second page of the book, that said, "Kill your ferocious editor." So we tend to limit ourselves and say, "Nah, it's not worth it," and no, I can't do that, and it's not my style. Or we talked about that once for one of the conversations, or when writing, I can't write that. I can't. So just shutting our stupid inner censor off and just doing something and just doing it, and then later deciding whether we want to keep that or whether we want to build on that or whether it was really shit. But just doing it. And that's then the second thing from that I learned from the book, and that's really I live by that, and I really religiously stick to that. And as, by the way, the book is by an American author and screenwriter. His name is John Vorhaus, and he wrote a book about comedy writing. But that book is more than a book about comedy writing. It's really it's an amazing book about dramaturgy and stuff like that. So, the book is called The Comic Toolbox, if someone wants to Google it. And he introduced this, what he called it, the rule of 9, and that is connected to the ferocious editor, saying, you know that most of the things you do will suck big time. So you have to do them. And you just lower your expectations. Just expect, the only thing you should expect is that most of the stuff you do will suck big time. So just, you have to do that. And if you do 9 things, or if you do 10 things, 9 of them will suck. But if you expect that 9 out of 10 things you do are just plain crap, then you won't be disappointed, then you won't stop, and it will even give you a push, because you have to do that, because you have to do the 9 things to get the 10th one that will work. And that is what you want to do. You want that one thing, and you expect that 9 of them will suck. So no disappointment there. And if 2 are good, or 3 or 4, hey, that's a bonus. And that is something that I really religiously live by if it comes to art. There's never something, when I want to do something in particular, I say, okay, I don't go with the 3rd attempt or 4th attempt, even if I think it is great. No, I do 10 things. And that really helped me tremendously. And that comes from writing, because and I also do that with photography. So 90% of the photos suck.
I want to add, and I think we talked about it before, there's 2 things. Writing, like photography, and I would say most any art form, isn't just about writing, and it's about rewriting. And photography isn't just about photography, it's about the editing. Whether you are just going through your pictures and you don't do anything in post because you want your images to be untouched, or whether you go in and you must manipulate the hell out of them in Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever. But there's a book about writing that I read, and I think I told you about this, called How to Write a Lot, and the author's last name is Silva, S-I-L-V-A. It's an itty-bitty book. It's about academic writing, but one of the things he says, there's no such thing as writer's block. You just sit there and you write, and even if you're just sitting there looking at the walls, but you're sitting there, you're sitting at the desk and you're doing your stuff. The other thing he said was, writing is not just about the writing. When you're doing writing, you're researching, you're editing to publish, you are cleaning up your writing area, You are reading stuff about writing. You're doing all kinds of things that are writing related, and that is writing. And to me, that's what immediately, when I started really getting serious about photography, I started to think of it the same way. It's not just taking the photo. It is everything that's related to photography, including, for example, for us, for the three of us, the reblog, and going through and looking at other people's photographs and getting inspired and getting ideas and just seeing how other people look at stuff. And when you look at the famous photographers, like I was looking at Tessie, I think his name is, the Italian or the Brazilian guy who's the top fashion photographer. And I was watching a documentary on him, and half his time he spends traveling and being in promoting stuff or being in meetings, and it's not about the photography. Yet he is a stunning photographer. And when you look at all of them, it's the same thing. So that's what's helped me, even, by the way, with the rut thing as well. Helped me with the rut thing too, because I also realized I may be in a rut for the taking pictures, but I have all these pictures I need to go through, or I have these pictures I want, or I have this book I want to read, or this video I want to watch. God bless YouTube. So I'm still doing photography, and again, that's the other reason why I haven't felt in a rut for like 2 years, because I started to think of it this way.
Okay, maybe I think that's a good approach, actually. But to me, I don't have a backlog of pictures I have to edit. My process is
I have a couple of thousand shots. You can edit.
Yeah, send them over. I have something to do then. To me, it's that I take pictures, and usually I do it the same day or the day after that I go through the pictures and edit them and sort them out. Like when I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, I don't take a laptop with me, a notebook. I just, I come home, I have 2,000 to 3,000 pictures to sort through. And then it's about, I mean, I love most of the pictures. I love doing that. But at picture 1573, it starts getting work. It starts to become work, actually. But I just can't keep pictures aside. Actually, I took pictures, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I just added them the week after, and I was just like, there's something missing. I still have those pictures to go through. That felt strange to me because it's a process. I take the pictures and I added them almost immediately. So this is just basically, it's 2 steps, but to me it's 1 step. And I post them mostly weeks after I started posting them, but then I think, why the hell did you edit that picture and didn't throw it out? Like what you said, Pete, yeah, we suck balls in the past, like with our pictures. So yeah, but still I post them just sometimes to see if there's a reaction to a picture. So, but I no longer, it's most about the reaction. If I get a reaction at all, I don't care if there's a reaction or not. I stopped that years ago. So nowadays it's just fun for me, but I'm still interested in a reaction. That's what I'm interested in. I don't care how it is, if there is any reaction. I could have pictures without any like on Tumblr, whatever. But if I have a lot of likes, yeah, that's cool. I think, but if there aren't that many, okay, you might not like these pictures, but I do. So
I want to tell you something about the likes. So and we may not get on the topic of the portfolio because we're already 1 hour and 5 minutes. But and I think I posted about this. So for work, I put together a portfolio of 100 photos, and then our staff photographer went through them, and he selected 9 that he thought were the best and that he thought had a theme.
One
Go ahead.
about that is just a sentence, because one of the biggest misconceptions that I see everywhere is when we're talking about editing, the act of going through the photos we took and choosing which ones are worth either using them or working with them. That already is editing. That
Going
is
through the contact sheet.
Yeah.
going through the contact sheet. And so if you're, everyone does editing. There are no unedited photos because you choose. Of course, some people post or show everything, use everything they took. That is their approach. Nothing bad with that or something. But most of us do some sort of editing, and that doesn't necessarily mean they have to. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why we on PWS called the seriously edited Friday. Serious is to put that out. It doesn't work. I know that isn't really accurate as well, and but
No, it works. It makes sense.
It makes sense to really push that. It is really about working with that. We should have probably called it seriously processed photos, but that didn't match with no edit Friday, and so that is already editing, and that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, no, totally. So anyway, so of the 100 photos, there was one photograph that I chose, which was of a strap for tying down equipment, and it's a webbed strap that's about 1.5 inches, and it's a black and white photo, and it's just wrapped like this. I mean, to me, it's a gorgeous photograph. To this day, it's one of those photographs I'm still enamored with. And I put it in there, and I thought, well, a lot of the other stuff is plants and buildings. You know, my two of the things that I do a lot, because it's about UC Davis, and this happened to be, that strap happened to be in our offices where they do the equipment part of the work. And so TJ, our staff photographer, when he went through, and I thought that picture isn't going to get chosen. Sure enough, one of the pictures he chose was the one of the strap. And that photograph, got maybe 30 likes and no feedback or anything that I can remember. But it is a stunning photograph as far as the texture and everything. And that's exactly what TJ saw. So I got that reaction like 3 years after I took the picture. But it's still something that I love. And even if I hadn't gotten that reaction, that photo, so that's just the whole process of who's looking at it, your audience, and so on. And then what I think would be really interesting, once that photograph is, if that photograph is chosen and is framed, is put up on the wall, will people see it differently because all of a sudden it's considered art and it's already showing on the wall? You see what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty funny thing to me. You put pictures on the wall, you call it art, or yeah, that's art too. That's no, that's right. That's the monster. I see green. What? I see Hulk.
That's art.
No, what I want, I did an art show at my workplace, I think 3 years ago. And there were pictures. It was about dementia. I tried to take pictures of dementia. I mean, you can't take pictures of dementia, but it was to me about how would people with dementia might see the world, how you can show something like this. And I took a lot of different pictures with it. And most of them, I wouldn't even consider myself. Yeah, that were art because of the context. Yes, some pictures were taken. I put in there because I think they matched. I took them before. Others I did specifically for that art show. And now I lost my train of thoughts. Yeah, you put them on the wall because it's art. But there were pictures I didn't think they were any good, actually, only because they just were good for the theme that we had there. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Does it make sense?
And no, it makes sense. And you never know, the reaction, because and I just had someone who's a regular contributor to LuxLit send us a note specifically about one reblog, and he was saying how grateful he was that we reblogged that photograph because it was a photograph he really loved, and that in in his Tumblr, it got very little love, yet we reblogged it. And I think it's a submission, so I'm the only one who sees the submissions, but I saw something in that photo that was special to him. I don't know if it was the same thing, but you never know. You absolutely never know. There are, just like we've talked about quite often, there are a whole bunch of absolutely wonderful photographers on Tumblr who you go to their Tumblrs and they have 1 or 2 notes, if any notes, on their photographs, and they are stunning. There's one street photographer who I'm absolutely enamored with his work, and he usually gets 25 to 30, and yet his stuff, I mean, he's been interviewed, he's well loved in the street photography, and he's actually doing photography that's not, Pete, I will never forget this, people walking.
People walking in black and white.
People walking in black and white.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do that.
Not black and white. It's not street photography, right?
Well, we won't get into that because I disagree. But yes, but that's
that was a
yes,
like sarcasm.
Yes, I know. I didn't want you to hurt yourself intellectually. So yeah, but so you never know. You absolutely never know. Anyway, we are an hour and 12 minutes, not counting the pre-show.
Yeah. I think we should definitely take up this topic once more about how to get out of a creative rut, really talking about methods, what there are. I have a couple of them, but I think we're going to, it's a bit too much for now. I think we're going to continue with that in the next show. There's something really very important for me to say. When we're talking about the different art forms and Tumblr and inspiration, because that is when we're looking at Tumblr not being a Tumblr is not a photo sharing platform. Tumblr is a blogging platform. We meet all sorts of people there, all sorts of artists there, and especially, and that is what I found and still find so fascinating. But before I say that, I mean, I got that quite, well, not a lot, but here and there, that people ask me, hey, can I use your photo as a wallpaper for my screen at home, for my computer, or can I use your photo as a phone background? And of course you can. There's no question about that. Just publish my photos without crediting me and asking me first. Not a problem, of course. But there's this Tumblr is just packed with different fandoms of all sorts, movies, books, TV series, and there are a couple of blogs out there which kind of specialize in portrait photography, and especially portrait photography of cosplay. And that is something that is a very, very niche kind of thing. Not only do I think it's fascinating, not only do I think there's a lot to explore there, because cosplay is something that is more than just people dressing up as their movie heroes or TV series heroes. That is something that goes deep. I think we could make a whole show about that one day. But there are, and that is what I'm seeing lately a lot, painters who use photos from original photographers on Tumblr for their paintings. I have a couple of names here. I don't want to leave someone out, but a name that I see often lately, Pantre Stefan, who seems to be very engaged in that and really painting pictures, painting photos. Marauder Fan that I stumbled over not too long ago also paints photos. Amazing thing. We have Sohi Klund. I saw that blog lately, who uses photos. And then something that I thought is just because I never would have gotten the idea that something like that exists. One day I got a message by, her name is Trisha. She makes wall wallpapers and paintings for computer games. And she puts them on the web for people free to download, and they can use these wallpapers in their virtual homes. It's a game called Sims. Probably know that, Sims 3 and Sims 4. And she makes interiors and wallpapers and pictures that people can put into their virtual homes. And there are people out there who decorate their virtual homes with real photos of that people made. It is a fascinating thing. We have writers who collaborate with photographers on Tumblr. I did a collaboration with Ambrose Hart a couple of times. I didn't with photos, but I did a couple of readings of his.
Oh, I did that at some point for a couple of weeks. I remember.
Yeah, and some photographers provide photos for his poems or stories. We have a couple of photographers / writers who do both, who either have separate blogs for that or put that on the blogs. We have thinking about people, funnily enough, but maybe that's because I'm German, so that the German blogs are kind of that stick to my mind. Was bleibt der Zeit, Bahnvorstellung, Schreibland, Kylie Riva, for example, people who do both photography and writing and combine that. We have blogs called from what else do I have here with names? Anyone from you? Orlansky is one of these blogs. Freitag ist Rosa, forgot, also German. And of course, and please forgive me if I forgot something, I just wrote down everything that came to my mind. That Dust Seeker is also a writer who collaborates with photographers. And we must not forget our beloved, fluffiest bird of all, Algae, who is also engaged in the photography scene and in the gifting scene, which is also a scene on Tumblr. And there's this huge amount of creativity. And that's what you said, Fern, working on blogs like we do, Photos Worth Seeing, Luxlit, all of these supporting blogs, by just seeing or following these blogs, by engaging with these blogs, by seeing all these photos out there, this is just this wave of inspiration. We had this today. We had the Members Appreciation Day on Photos Worth Seeing, and we thought, okay, we want to do something a bit differently, and so we came up with the idea of, hey, why not doing something really together. So far, this was one member chooses photos of other members and showcases them. And now we said, well, okay, let's do things a bit differently. And so each of us submitted a photo and another member made an edit of that. And for me, I put together the queue yesterday and I was just amazed because, of course, I knew the originals and then I saw the edits, and it's just mind-blowing. So there is no way to get in a creative rut. The only thing that might, at least not if you're really on Tumblr and really engaged in Tumblr, the only thing that might happen is, and that happens frequently to me, is to get extremely frustrated because I don't feel myself up to, and I really see what kind of skills I'm lacking to be able to compare my photos where there's no comparison. Sometimes I feel small and dirty because I think my photos are just crap compared to what I see every day on my dash.
So Heiko, I have
Yeah, he has obviously
a problem.
a problem, but that's not new. We know that in that age you have problems, and we did that. We actually showed what problem Fern has while we were not streaming yet, but we won't.
Yeah,
I think that is Fern's biggest problem. Fern has a connectivity problem. That's what we find out before we hit stream.
Yeah, that's what we did, and now he just is frozen.
He's frozen. His heart of stone. That's so it's cold inside.
Yeah.
He's cold and dead inside, and I hope he won't watch that, because or else I will get nasty annons again. Thank God Fern signs his annons with his name. Please don't tell him that you shouldn't sign annons with your name, or else you.
You know that you're telling him right now, but what do I know?
He's not online. That's, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if Fern will ever come back. So I think, yeah, with 20 minutes overtime. No, he's gone. See, but he has the link.
Yeah.
To join anytime. So I think we call it a day today. Is there anything you want to say, Heiko? I want to say it was a blast having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. It was fun. If you invite me back, I'll be back. But you said something about you wanted to invite other guests as well. You told me before.
I wrote that down.
You wrote that down, and I'm just reminding you. So that's what I do.
Because if we want you out there, you who are watching that, and even if you're not watching that, we nevertheless want you on the show. You don't have to be part of any kind of reblogging blog or anything. Of course, we want all of you admins and members of all the other reblogging blogs on Tumblr. We want you on the show. We want to talk with you. We want to talk with you about photography. We want to talk with you about Tumblr, photography on Tumblr. We want to communicate with you. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear your approaches. We want to see your photos. So if you want to be part of this, if you want to talk with us, we definitely want to talk with you. So don't you think I have nothing to say? We will ask questions, and you will see how much you will have to say. So here's that.
I have a question for Heiko, which I lost. Sorry. So not counting photography.
Yeah.
What medium, what art form inspires you the most?
What art inspires me?
Yes.
Oh my God. Also that depends. I was inspired by books, by novels for a long time. I can be inspired by philosophical thoughts, but mostly what inspires me are discussions. And with discussions, I mean talking with people who really have something to say, who have an opinion, but also willing to listen to an opinion. That's what inspires me. Yeah.
Cool.
That's basically what I take my energy out of. So. Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, that's okay. Ask away. That's what Pete said. You will ask questions, and I am the one to answer. I answer questions. That's what I do.
What is your biggest inspiration, Fern?
Not counting photography.
Not counting photography.
I would say definitely definitely film, painting, especially for flowers. My muse is George O'Keeffe. Architecture. Since architecture, because I do so much architecture photography, well, urban geometry photography, because I really don't do what's straightforward architecture photography. That is the forms themselves, and the artists, or the architects themselves, the artists, and getting to know their work, and if we forget people like Frank Lloyd Wright, the guy who does La Trappa, or like whatever his name is, who does the bridges and so on with the cables, and did the that's very wide and very large bridges, and the museum in Wisconsin, but more modern, I have to say. Painting like Warhol. I'm fascinated by Warhol's work. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because I do realize that Warhol's paintings and his films inspire me, because again, not mentioning photography, I don't necessarily imitate or am trying to bring in, but just seeing their work and what they did does fuel my interest. I have to say though, with Georgia O'Keeffe, because I do take a lot of flower and plant photographs, sometimes I do see certain things in my images that remind me of hers. The one thing that Georgia O'Keeffe did, and it was I saw this at the exhibit in San Francisco a couple of years ago, and there's the photograph of the aspens where Ansel Adams does the same thing. She has a very simple image, and I think I've talked about this before, that has almost just a line down almost the full half of the canvas, so it divides it into two. It's a vertical line. It doesn't go all the way down to the bottom, with just a little bit of a curve on either side. It's a super minimalist painting. That painting, I broke down in tears when I saw it, at just thinking about it now, if I really think about it, because it's the kind. Huh?
No,
go ahead.
Go. No. Go ahead.
So it's the kind of when I used to draw, I used to draw very minimal. Aubrey Beardsley, an early 20th century illustrator who did Art Nouveau. He is a huge inspiration for me, and he was when I drew, and he still is, because of that minimalism. He just did pen and ink, and some of his most fabulous works are just very few lines, clean, empty space. So those are my inspirations, I have to say.
You're mine, Fern.
Okay. On that note, I'm muting. Bye. Wait, what are you laughing at, Heiko?
I'm just speechless with the both of you. So.
Okay. But yeah, what about you, Pete?
Me, I have to say songs. Actually, I wanted to say music, but it's actually songs, because the words, lyrics are always have been extremely important to me. So it's not just in big quotes the music, it's the songs themselves. And right now I'm, because I mentioned writing, right now I'm actually writing a series of short stories based on a song that kind of, and that's where we are at interconnectedness between the arts. These stories create pictures in my mind that either that I make them to illustrate the stories, or I want to make them, or I take photos that I already made and make kind of composites or compositings or collages and stuff like that. So that is something, it always has been songs, and that is actually something that brought me into first into movie making, because there were songs that it was actually music videos. I always wanted to make music videos, because songs always inspired me. And almost every song I hear, either in the good or in the bad, creates pictures in my mind. And so that's, funnily enough, I don't listen to music while taking photos. I should try that. I always wanted to try that. But I always listen to music while editing, and depending on what I'm listening to, the edits turn out very differently. That's what I found out. And
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't do either. So I mean, I don't listen to music when I do either. And I will say, I find that interesting about the images that they create, because when I read novels, just like when I listen to music, or read, I do not see images. I just hear, or like if I'm reading a novel, I just see the story. It's just a story. I'm hearing the story. That's it. So I don't visualize at all, which is funny that I do photography because I'm very visual, but yet I don't visualize. So that's fascinating to me.
I always see things. It's inevitable. It's crazy.
Well, when I read, I see things, and I think what I never thought about it was the music part. I always listen to music when I take pictures. I always have earplugs in or headphones on. So when I'm outside, I'm shooting, I always have music on, at least in Germany, Cologne.
What kind of music?
Depends on my mood. It could be, usually I either listen to hip hop or some metal. So it's really two extreme parts, and always depends on the mood. So but I'm not sure if that even can be seen in my pictures, because it's something I do every day. When I go outside, I have music on. I just can't stand the noise I hear otherwise. So and when I edit, I have some noises around me all the time. Like, is it some TV series or whatever, or music? So there's always a noise, but I think that I don't even listen to it, because it's something that's always there. I just found it interesting that you both said, no, I go out, I never when I take pictures, I don't listen to music. But then Pete says he does it while he's editing, and that can be that music he listens to is reflected in the edit. And with edit, edit also meaning sorting out. I'm trying to take your take on editing. So that's an interesting note, actually.
So are we done?
Are we done?
Yeah, sounds like.
I think we're done for today. I would ask the two of you to stay in the call after I ended the stream. So yeah, this one's for today. I want to say big thanks to big thank yous to Fernando, qbn-scholar.tumblr.com, admin for luxlit.net, to Heiko, heterotopian.tumblr.com, and also one of our lovely members on Photos Worth Seeing. And no thanks to me. That's what you do always on your cities, right? No thanks. No, what is your? I don't read what you write. I read everything what you write, but I don't read The Tale of Two Cities. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
praise to Heiko and praise to Fern.
That's what we do.
Again, the big call to all of you out there, if you want to be part of this conversation one day, it doesn't have to be video. So I get it, we get it, we understand it completely. If you don't want to show your faces, because some people are uncomfortable with the camera.
You don't need to show your face.
Right, you can either wear a mask if you want to, or no, we don't need. Of course, we would love to see you. We thought it doesn't matter. I mean, look at these three faces. It doesn't really matter to show them or not. So we thought that we can show that, but we can also do that as an audio only. And there's one thing I want to plug my podcast. I started a podcast lately. So if you say, no, I don't want to be live with you on the show, but of course I would love to talk with you, then you can please talk with me on my podcast. This is recorded. This is edited later. We can cut everything out, and you can find my photography and creativity related podcast on either iTunes. Just look for TVOOM, TVOOM on iTunes, or if you want to listen to it directly on the web, it is tvoom.podomatic.com. Oh my God, that was a Freudian slip, I guess. TVOOM, TVOOM.podomatic.com. 2 episodes online already. The third one soon. I hope I will be recording it tomorrow. So yeah, this one's for today. As always, applause for our guest, Heiko. And Booze for Fern, everyone, what he deserves. So bye-bye till next time.
Yeah, bye.
And that's 30 seconds, I guess. This music is 30 seconds. So I'll just click through Heiko dancing. Funky Chunk, by the way, by Kevin MacLeod of incompetech.com. The music is licensed under a Creative Commons 3.0 license. So check out incompetech.com. Great music that you can use in your projects. So now I'll stop the stream.